IVM.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Musafir Stories, India's very own travel podcast, where each week we share the journey of travelers in their own words and relive their experiences with you, our listeners.
Hi guys, I'm your host Saif, and our guest traveler today is Swati Sinha, a working mom based in Bangalore who's turning her passion for traveling and storytelling into a beautiful blog where she shares stories of her travels. So sit back and enjoy as Swati takes us to a new destination this week. So with that introduction, I'd like to welcome Swati Sinha from the blog Recipe for Travel. Swati, thank you so much for being a part of the Musafir Stories and welcome to the podcast.
Swati, thank you so much for being a part of the Musafir Stories and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Honored to be here, really.
Same here. Swati, why don't you go ahead and tell our listeners a little about yourself? And also, we would love to know when the travel bug bit you. So please tell us about your travel story.
Right. So my travel bug is really old. Okay. So as a child, I recall moving every 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So we've been, staying in, pretty much, many states in India. And, the first memories of travel for me has been gunny bags coming home, household stuff being packed into that. We eating food at friends' places. And then from then on, get onto a car and for a road trip.
Wow.
So at that point, the only option was rails. The flights were way too expensive, if at all they were there. So I recall that, and we've done road trips from the north to the south. So, we would plan our trip. We'll decide where exactly we will stay, and we would, kind of try and figure out, what is special about that place. So it has been always very exciting. So this road trip, I firmly place the blame on my parents for this.
And probably road trips were not as cool back then. Like right now, they're a pretty cool thing, but back then it was just moving for you guys, right?
Yeah, it was moving, but then, it was moving. It was also leaving a lot of memories, a lot of friends behind, with promises to write to them, because there were no telephones, right? So much. So promises to write to them. But then, I think because of that fact, I really look forward to something new in any new place that I visit.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah.
I know. I miss the entire concept of writing letters. I remember whenever my cousin's birthdays used to come up and we used to go buy greeting card like a month before, I think, before the birthday date.
Absolutely.
Yeah, write a huge note inside it. And my mother used to put like money inside the card.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I keep the tradition on for the kids a little bit for Rakhi. But yeah, pretty much it's a lost art, I would think.
Yeah.
Anyway, before people figure out how old we are, Swati.
Hush.
Exactly. So I was going to say, we have a little tradition at the Musafir Stories where each week, whenever we have a guest traveler come speak to us, we request them to take us and our listeners on a journey to a new destination and share everything about their trip, from how they planned it, how they got there, to what they saw, where they lived, places to eat, places to see, and places to avoid, everything about the ins and out of that place. So with that in mind, where are you taking our listeners to today?
I would take the listeners to Chandigarh, and then we'll hop onto a train in Kalka. We'll go to Shimla, and then I will take them to places in Shimla which is not as touristy as Shimla is today.
Oh, okay. Wonderful.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That gets us excited. One, because it's a train ride, and two, because you're saying to places which are not very commercial, and in Shimla, because touristy and Shimla have tended to be synonymous in the last few years. So we're excited to hear from you.
Sure.
Awesome. So who were your partners in crime on this trip?
My partners in crime are the usual suspects, my 2 children and my husband. So my husband absolutely has no hand in any planning, but he enjoys it the most. And I think he enjoys that disconnect he gets, whenever we go out. So, that's given for the family.
That's
Excellent. So tell us a little bit more about the preparation for this whole trip. When exactly during the year did you travel there?
Right. So we traveled in April. We traveled there in April. And another thing to, kind of what was in our mind was April and May are typically when the children have their holidays here. But in the north, the vacations are May onwards. So I try and hit that sweet spot in April if I'm going north, because then, you don't have the regular, vacation crowd. Yeah. So you skip that. So I try my north trips in April, and that's what I did. And of course, my planning for my longer trips happen anywhere from 4 to 6 months actually. So I book way beforehand so that I'm able to, kind of get the best deals that I can on flights, and not so much on hotels, because hotels, I think the deals keep coming, but the flights are the ones that I kind of try and book much beforehand.
Sure.
Right. That's a good tip, Swati. Yeah. And in terms of preparations for packing, Swati, what did you take along? Anything special?
Especially because you're traveling with kids as well, Swati.
And
anything
to a colder place.
Yeah. So my savior is decathlon. Okay. Because typically we don't have that kind of, warm clothes that is, the clothes that can keep you warm. Exactly, and since we were going to Shimla, and, we were also going beyond Shimla. So we needed to be adequately prepared. Right. So we pretty much, looking at innerwear for children. So, inners, for example. So I bought some 2 or 3 of them because, we didn't know how the weather would be in Shimla specifically. And then, of course, a lot of layers. So layers, which they can take off if they are getting, cold, warm. Yeah. And then, headgear. So you will have a cap that we would carry. Typically 2 sets, right? One, a more fashionable one, and one which is more functional.
The funny looking one.
Yeah. The fun looking one. Yeah, absolutely. No monkey caps. Okay.
Hey, that's what I wear.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Seth used to love his bachpan ki monkey cap.
No. I absolutely don't like them, but yeah, woolen caps. So that gloves, for example, and then something, because there also could be rain. It's very unpredictable up in the mountains. Okay. So we carried, something to keep, because the weather in the mountains can change anytime. Right. So we wanted to keep something which can keep the kids dry and all of us dry. So we carried some wind cheaters and, of course, good walking shoes, because we knew, I knew my plan, and I knew we had to walk.
Okay. And that's good. So how many days itinerary was this, Swati?
Well, this was a 12-day itinerary overall.
Okay.
But then if I look at just Shimla, Chandigarh, Shimla part, it was 5 days in all. Okay. 5 days in all.
5 days, wonderful. So you started off from Chandigarh?
Yes. So we flew into Chandigarh, and Chandigarh was interesting. It's a nice, sweet airport if you've been there. Okay. And of course, I told my children about all the beautiful, 90-degree roads that they have. Right, the roads cut absolutely 90 degrees to each other.
Really? Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know that.
It's very beautiful. I remember it as I'd gone there to give my exam once.
Awesome. So yeah, tell us about the plan now. You are in Chandigarh now, and what's the next 5 days going to look like? Where did you start off?
Yeah, so Chandigarh, there's a rock garden. I'm sure you've heard of it. Mm-hmm. And that was something I wanted to take my children to. As a child, I'd been there and I absolutely loved it. So the rock garden is very interesting because that was built on an illegal, it was built illegally on a protected forest land.
Oh, okay.
So it was started by Mr. Nek Chand, and he was the local, transport official in during the time when Chandigarh was being made, right? Okay. Chandigarh was being built. Okay. So he was given a post which was a little outside, and he started siphoning a bit of material to start building his his rock garden. Oh. So for 10 years, this rock garden was not known to the public. or to the government or to anybody at all except this
God.
person. So that was the charm of rock garden for me. And then when that was figured, so basically rock garden is a huge complex in which what Mr. Nekchand did was he just used recycled material. So if you walk into rock garden, you will see statues, you will see a lot of sculptures made out of broken glass bangles. Plug covers. So those, if you recall, ceramic plug covers. Okay. So he would use that. He would use pebbles. He would use any kind of rags, bike frames, broken pots, any of these old bricks. So he would use that, and then he would make sculptures out of them.
Right.
That's a very, very good experience. And I think walking through, remembering from my old visit to this visit, I think they've also come a long way. Okay. There are a lot of waterfalls that has been created, a lot of, pathways for, people to walk. So it's a huge, huge area in which, this particular rock garden exists today. So after this, we went to Sukhna Lake. Okay. So which is right, about a kilometer or kilometer and a half from this place, from Rock Garden. Okay. And this is again a very interesting place. It's an artificial lake, and this was it's a rain-fed lake. So it was there was a seasonal stream that was coming down from the hills, and that was blocked, and a dam was made around it. So that's how it is rain-fed. Okay. So this is an interesting lake, and we went obviously around evening, right? So by the time we reached the hotel and we could come to Rock Garden, it was pretty much evening, around 5ish or so, that we went towards Sukhna Lake, and it's very interesting. So they have created a nice promenade where there are a lot of shops in there where there will be bubble activities, there will be joy rides for children, there are a lot of eateries that's put in there. So it is a place where people spend their evenings. I know that's what I could take away. And then the lake has beautiful colorful boats. So the view itself is there's a big lake, and then all you can see is colorful boats either parked or in the water, and it looks beautiful, and the sunset there is amazing.
Wow. It sounds nice. It sounds like a carnival happening around the lake. Yeah.
It is. And if there is a festival going on, then there will be more, more people, more shops. And I have a colleague there in Chandigarh, and he tells me that even the morning, the sunrise is beautiful. And behind this lake, there is a park. It's called the Garden of Silence, where there is a huge Buddha statue. So once this place is crowded, where what I'm talking about. So if you walk about another 2 kilometers behind the lake, you get to Garden of Silence, where apparently, it's really quiet, and you think you've just come into some hill station. So that's how it is. Yeah, it was, Sukhna Lake was, that was something I just chanced upon it. I was not aware of Sukhna Lake.
Oh, wonderful.
Okay. So was that pretty much day one then, Swati, given that it was almost evening by the time you got there?
Yeah, it was day one, and then the next day we had to leave for Kalka. So our plan was to go hit a dhaba there. Okay, if you go to Chandigarh and you do not do a dhaba, it's sacrilege.
I know.
So, but unfortunately, we were so tired that we said, okay, we will do that on the way back. We will, Pal Dhaba was somebody, it was highly recommended. You should go to Pal Dhaba and eat dal makhni there. Okay.
Oh my God! Wow. That's nice.
Early in the morning, by about, I think 9 or so, we started, and we headed to Kalka the next day.
Awesome. So Swati, tell us a little bit more about the train ride, because I'm excited to hear about this. I believe this is one of the UNESCO recognized heritage sites as well. So tell us a little bit more. How did you go about booking the train tickets, and give us more details about the train ride as well?
Sure. So yeah, the booking of this train is interesting. They open up only about a month before the actual date of the journey. Okay. So you got to be hooked onto the train site, right? So to be able to book it, but then it was tough. So we actually had to get it done through a travel agent. So the person we were talking to for our trip beyond Shimla, so they put us on to a travel agent, and he booked it for us. So that's how we finally were able to get onto this amazing, toy train.
Toy train, exactly. So yeah, give us a few more details, Swati. I think it's like a little under 100 kilometers that you cover, and what are the things you see and experience while on this train? And how different is this from any of the other train rides that one can expect in India?
Yeah, so there are many trains. I think there are about 3 or 4 trains, if I'm not mistaken. The one that we went on was non-AC. There are other deluxe trains as well, but then the whole intent was to experience the mountainside and you enjoy the train journey.
Sure.
So this train again, of course, it is a UNESCO World Heritage train, and the railway it's a narrow gauge, so it's smaller train, and it starts from Kalka. So Kalka is again a very key place because this is where the British actually started building this, connection to Shimla. At the time when this was constructed, this particular part, 107 tunnels and about 860 odd bridges that they had built to be able to reach Shimla.
That's
Very
quite impressive, right?
story.
And this is probably back in the day while the British were there, so quite a impressive engineering feat as well.
Absolutely. It was built in 1898. So that's when it was built, and it traverses, it takes you a distance of 4,600 odd feet from Kalka to Shimla. So it's a steep way for it to go as well. And there are many stories around the tunnels. The Baroque tunnel, for example, is one of the haunted tunnels along the way. So there's a story, there's interesting story there. So anyway, we started on the train journey. So, there were a lot of foreigners on the train as well, because this is an experience. You got to, experience this train at least once in your lifetime to really realize what it is. So engineering marvel at its best. So we got onto it. The kids were excited. We started, so they were counting, how many tunnels we are going to go through. So Baroque, the tunnel number 33 is the longest tunnel, and the train doesn't go very fast. So at 25 kilometers per hour, the train takes about 2.5 minutes to cross this tunnel, and it's pitch dark, and you can scream into the tunnel. You can just be a child. And the another thing is, it is the straightest tunnel in the world, and the story around the Baroque tunnel is. It is named after Colonel Baroque, who was charged with creating this tunnel, and he did his calculations, and he figured out that he wanted people to start drilling from both sides of the mountain, and his calculation unfortunately did not, the two sides did not end at
they
the
did
center.
not meet.
Yeah, it's not meet. So he was fined ₹1 at that time by the British government for wasting time and money of the government. And then the workers were not happy with that. And then, of course, he ended his life with a shotgun. So they say that his ghost actually, is the tunnel. So what happened was, he died. The task was given to somebody else, and they ended up creating the tunnel. He did the same thing. The person tried again, and he couldn't get the tunnel ends to meet. And then they reached out to Baba Bhalku. Okay, he was a saint in somewhere near Chel. He was apparently a genius in engineering, natural genius in engineering. So he helped them actually with many tunnels. Apart from this, many other tunnels, and he was one of the reasons why this train, this path could be completed. So he suggested that this tunnel be built 1 kilometer away from the original place where the tunnel was being, created. So finally, that's how the actual tunnel is not the tunnel that they started building. So, the other tunnel is apparently a place which is haunted by Colonel Baroque. So that's just some story around the tunnel.
That's quite
but
spooky.
this was, yes, it is, but it was a very, very, very interesting ride. You have to see after Baroque in itself is such a beautiful, station. It is absolutely blue and green. You actually see the difference from Kalka when you hit Baroque. It is so beautiful. You start seeing the landscape. You could see the beautiful flowers that were all around the trees. You get a nice view of the valley and surrounding villages. So all in all, it was an extremely great experience, and we crossed 102 tunnels. So that kept the kids.
That's quite a lot, 102.
Yeah, and some of the curves were really sharp curves. So there are huge curves. So I've got a lot of pictures where the train is turning, and then you get to see the entire length of the train, and you can click pictures.
Wow.
So that was amazing as well, trying to catch the train at the best curve.
Amazing.
Awesome. And given those sharp turns and given that it's a narrow gauge, no wonder it travels at, you said, 25 kilometers an hour, you said?
Yeah. It doesn't travel very fast.
Excellent. So this was about 4 or 5 hours later that you reached?
Yes. So we
Shimla?
started by about 12. I think we started around 12 and or maybe 11:30, and we reached Shimla by about 5:30. So Shimla station again is very beautiful station, in the middle of the hills. So from there we checked into our hotel. So our hotel was on the mall. So we took a cab which dropped us to the lift, and from the lift you climb up the mall with your luggage. So there's a huge line or queue in front of the lift for you to get in. So, and of course it's a paid service as well. But then it's convenient because otherwise you would have to lug the luggage. So
Yeah. So Swati, did you have anything planned for this day, or was it pretty much relaxing?
it was pretty much exploring the mall. So since the hotel was at the mall, to get the feel of the place.
Okay.
And since it was dark, there wasn't much that we could see, but at least on the mall we figured out the local fruits. So we tried cherries that were there, and the local produce that they had. The ambience in the mall itself is extremely good. You just keep walking, and you get to see various different vendors, the local vendors, and we wanted to figure out which is a good place to eat, and we figured out there's a place called Gupta Ji. So we went there. It's a pure vegetarian food and amazing food.
Wow.
We absolutely love that. And I think we went there pretty much every night.
Yeah, I can see Faiza's eyes light up now. I know you can't see that, but
Absolutely. And interestingly, it rained that night. So while we were at Gupta Ji, it rained and we got drenched when we came back to our hotel. But yeah, that was an experience. And the next day it was so cold in Shimla.
surprise.
In fact, getting drenched in the rain, you would think it is summer, but again, mountains can be very, very, treacherous that way. So we don't know what the weather how it will turn the next day. So in the morning when we got up, it was extremely cold. But then I had already, booked a heritage walk with Shimla Walks.
Okay.
And so that was Mr. So Sumit is the guy Sumit Vashisht. He's the person who runs Shimla Walk. Yeah. So he suggested that we start early. So by about 9:30, we had the guide come and meet us at the hotel, and then we started our walk. So the first place that you go to is start at the Ridge. So the Christ Church at the Ridge. Now we went there, and this is the second oldest church in the north of India, and it's built in the neo-Gothic style. So it's very beautiful to look at, and it is also illuminated at the night. So when we were getting drenched, we could see the church up there. The previous night. So that was interesting, and it's a very beautiful picture. It makes for a pretty picture as well.
Sure.
So we finished. So the ridge, he was explaining, under the ridge there is a huge water tank. So the entire ridge is, it's the flattest area that probably you will see in Shimla, and underneath it there is a huge water tank that was built to provide water to people in Shimla that during the British times.
Okay.
So it is still in use, and it is not built with brick apparently, just with lime mortar. So that's why vehicles are not allowed on the ridge, because it can damage those tanks. You will see the tricolor there, and all parades, any kind of events will happen on the ridge. The festival that happens, summer festival. So at that point, it will be completely filled with, your vendors and events and activities that's happening. So on the ridge, you have the Christ Church right next to it. You have the State Library which is built, in the 80s, 60s, all during the British time, right? So there you will find very old books as well. If you, if you have the time and you're spending a lot of time in Shimla, you could get there. That's another place where you can, if you love reading books, you can find some rare books there.
Okay.
So, and then there is Bandstand. So very interestingly about Bandstand, today it has been converted to a restaurant. It's called the Ashiana restaurant. But earlier, during the British times, it apparently gave you, it's made of glass, it's round and glass all around with a slate roof, stone roof. So it gives you the view of the entire, mountain ranges when you used to sit there. And the military band used to practice music at that place. That's why it's called the Bandstand.
It must have been a beautiful view, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It is. So all this, the entire of the ridge. So we went to the Gaiety Theatre. So now this is again a Victorian style theatre, and at that time when it was built, it was a 5-story building, and it was the tallest in Shimla at that time. And the intent was for entertainment purposes for the Anglo-Indian community and Britishers at that point, and now it has been restored. But you have people like Rudyard Kipling, you had Shashi Kapoor who have performed there and who have been there, and their old theatre hall is amazing to look at. They still have the curtain arrangement of sandbags and pulley system.
Wow.
Natural acoustic for 320 people. So it's a very beautiful architecture that you get to see throughout the ridge. So you walk down the ridge, you start from Christchurch, you walk down to the ridge, and the point where the Mall Road and the ridge meet is called Scandal Point.
Okay.
So again, Scandal Point is a famous address in Shimla.
Oh, okay.
It got its name apparently in the 19th century. So we have this Maharaja of Patiala.
Okay.
Bhupinder Singh. Okay. So he apparently eloped with the Viceroy's daughter, British Viceroy's daughter.
Quite a scandal.
Quite a scandal. So he was banned from entering Shimla after that. So Chail, we'll talk about Chail a little later. So Chail was, created as a summer capital for him. He created that because he was not allowed to get into Shimla. So this point where he eloped with the lady, it's called Scandal Point. So, but then it is the point where now it's famous and people generally meet there. So we started this, and then around here you will see right at the Scandal Point there is a very beautiful Heritage General Post Office. So we were talking about letters and the lost art of writing letters.
Right.
You see this post office, and you right there, you realize how pretty it looks. Again, one of those beautiful British time buildings. So it was earlier apparently some cottage that they bought and they converted it to a post office, and it was one of the first post office in the in the north of India. And they still distribute the mails with a Tonga delivery. So there is a horse cart which delivers letters to the houses today.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that must have a pretty nostalgic feel as well to someone going back there, and gives you a view of how British India was, right?
It does. So you continue from here, you keep walking down. So our end goal is the Viceregal Lodge, right? Okay. So we continue walking down, you get to see the headquarters of the Indian Army, which is the training academy. This was the place, you're not allowed to click too many pictures there because of course, it's the army, but the planning and execution of World War I, World War II, or both the Pakistan wars all happened from this place. Because at that time, this was the headquarters of the Indian Army during the British times.
Okay.
So, we saw that, and then we moved on. In between, we also saw the Vidhan Sabha. We saw the very old-looking CPWD office, which is again during the British time. So, very interestingly, in all the paths that we took during the Heritage Walk, the guide was telling us that in Shimla, this is the old Shimla. All the new buildings are coming up in New Shimla, which is, you could see it across, right, into another hill range. So Shimla is like seven hill ranges, mountain ranges, and Shimla is built on that, right? So that's coming up in New Shimla. Old Shimla, you cannot build new things. You can only renovate. Yeah, you can only renovate older buildings. That's the reason why Shimla still is very pretty. And this walk actually, I had absolutely low expectations expectations from Shimla. I only did it because I thought the kids should get a chance to see the place. But Shimla surprised me. It was so beautiful, and this walk, I think, kind of made me realize how they have maintained and kept all these old buildings and trying to, kind of keep it as they found it, slight renovations. So after this, we really wanted, it was freezing cold, okay? It was windy. The path that we took was extremely windy. I think it was between two mountain ranges or some such. It was extremely windy, and my kids were literally freezing, okay, in spite of hat gloves and everything. So we really were very happy when they said our next stop is going to be the Cecil Oberoi. It's a heritage hotel, and very interestingly, what I found out that this was once a one-storied house which hosted Rudyard Kipling, and that is where he wrote his novels which were inspired by Shimla. So of course it also has a bit of literature into it. And it's a very beautiful, completely teak, wooden panels, amazing atrium. So, you just walk in there and you just get a feel of royalty, It's very, very beautifully maintained one. That ballroom apparently was one of the, this was the most exclusive hotels during the British Raj, and the most fabulous ballroom, but now the ballroom has been converted to a restaurant. So but it's grand, and you can see why it was a very popular place during the British times.
Sure.
So then we kept walking. We saw the DM's office. We saw All India Radio, and finally we reached the Vice Regal Lodge. Now the Vice Regal Lodge was the summer residence of the British Viceroy of India. And it houses some of the very, very old photographs and articles from their times. So, it's located again in one of those hills of Shimla. It's called the Observatory Hill. Apparently the hill was flattened to make this house. And this house is, if you look at it, it's like a Tudor style, beautiful house, beautiful, I can't call it a house. It's almost like a huge palace, right? So it has very well manicured garden in front of it. And it was so modern even during its time. For example, the first light switch in the whole of Shimla was installed here first, and they generated electricity to be able to switch on that light. They had rainwater harvesting, so their lawns, you're not allowed to walk on the lawns in front of it because there is there's a time they do rainwater harvesting underneath it.
Okay.
And they have so when we went in for a So, you're not allowed to click pictures inside. So when they took us around in the guide, that when he took us around, he told us about the firefighting mechanism that was built during that time. So it was with a wax-dipped water duct. So if the temperature goes beyond a certain range, the wax melts and the water comes down. Oh, wow. So it's again a beautiful house. It's completely wooden. Mm-hmm. And today, when the British moved out and we had our independence, this was also called the President Niwas, where the President of India would come for a few days and then he would, go back. Right. So Dr. Professor S. Radhakrishnan, when he was the president, he decided that this should be, put to better use. So he got it handed over to the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies. So now today, the entire, the whole area is being used by the institute, and apparently you need to be PhD to be able to get into this institute.
Not easy.
You see, my heart, that's all my hopes of ever living there. But it was built with a lot of love. It took 8 years to build it, and it shows. It has, it apparently has a huge wine cellar, which of course we did not see. Got a room for empty suitcases, and it's got an indoor tennis court. Oh, Lord. So it is huge, and it has been built with a lot of love. And, one of the places which I think is, which clearly shows, how a few things that we have also received from the Britishers while they were here.
Exactly.
Beautiful business.
And give you some goals to go get a doctorate, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Or be the president and just plan a visit.
Plan a visit, absolutely. At least get to see that indoor tennis court. Yeah.
I know.
this is where we finished our heritage walk. So this was about a 5 to 6 kilometer walk.
Okay.
So it took pretty much the entire morning and morning, in fact, afternoon as well. So we left this place by about, I think, close to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now it's well past midday. What else did you have planned for the rest of the day?
So while we were coming, on this walk, we also, saw something that, a huge golf course, a huge patch of green, and he said that's Annandale. Okay. So we're like, okay, that sounds interesting. I had read up about Annandale and I knew there was Army Heritage Museum as well there.
Okay.
So we said, okay, let's take a cab. So we wanted to figure out, and Sumit, when I spoke to Sumit from Shimla Walks, he told me you should be able to get the cab from the Viceregal Lodge. So we said, okay, we finished, the guide left us. And that's when there was an empty cab, that's, I was like, stop. So this guy, he was Sardaji, and he said, okay, where do you guys want to go? And I said, we want to go to Annandale, and then we want to go to Jaco Hill. Okay. So he was like, okay. And then he said, okay, I'll take you guys. He was going home, but he was kind enough to say, okay, he would take us to these places. Annandale again was very interesting because it's again a flat. You go down a little from Shimla, and then it is a flat area, which was the playground for the Britishers. It was built during that time. And Annandale's story also is the guy who actually discovered this place and built this area, named it after his childhood sweetheart, her name was Anna.
Oh, wow. That's romantic.
Yes, really. So that's how it was Annandale. So the other thing that's very interesting here is the Army Heritage Museum. So the moment you enter, you have a huge tank, and then you before at the gate you will be met with a soldier and a AK-47, asking you where you're from, and but very friendly. So he would get down your address, where you're coming from, your contact details, etc. And then you just walk in. It's you don't have to pay for the entry here. And the moment you enter, on the right hand side, you will see a huge statue of Marshal Manekshaw. So it's very impressive, and you walk in. It's very beautifully laid out. There are a lot of flowers, and then you see, as you walk in, you realize you will see the surrender letter of Pakistan from the 1971 war. You will see flag of Pakistan. You will see a Pakistani letter that was, a spoil of war, so to speak, right?
Oh, wow.
So you see a Pakistani letter box. You will see different kinds of arms that have been used by the army, from older weapons like bows and arrows and swords to new ones like AK-47. You will have uniforms dating, back to pre-independence. There was the execution order of Mangal Pandey for the mutiny. So you get to see a lot of interesting, artifacts that you only heard of, right? So for the kids, especially my son, not so much my daughter because she's smaller, she was happy with the flowers. My son was very, very interested in this. He totally enjoyed this museum, and I think it's one of the very well kept museums, and it's very extensive as well. Okay. And within this place, you also have a greenhouse where you can see different kinds of cacti and other plants. So you could visit those as well if you were interested. So this was a very good visit, and later on the driver that kind of agreed to pick us up,
Sardaji driver.
Yes, Sardaji driver. He told us that the moment you said Annandale, I realized that I could take you to places which are offbeat and not the usual, So after that, he, in fact, Annandale and Jaco Hills are in two different directions. So Jaco is the highest mountain range of Shimla.
Okay.
So we said we wanted to go to Jaco Temple also because I'd heard about it and said I want to visit. So he said, okay, I'll take you there. So we went to Jaco Hills now after this, right, in a different direction towards Shimla. So this is again a very, very old Hanuman temple. Okay. Very old Hanuman temple, and there is, it's, during Dashera, you can actually see a huge crowd here. And there are enormous amount of monkeys here. I mean, huge. Okay. And the story is, again, legend. I love getting into legends of places.
Yeah, I know.
So the legend was that Hanumanji, when he was, coming to the north in search of Sanjeevani Booty, he stopped here for a while to rest.
Oh, okay.
So that's how this place, has so many monkeys, because it is dedicated to Hanumanji. So, and then recently, in I think 2010, 108 feet high idol of Hanumanji was built here.
Wow.
So that idol you can actually see towering over all these beautiful, trees. And even from the ridge, you can see the statue, towering over that. And they say that this is bigger than Christ the Redeemer as well.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
That must have been a beautiful sight, right?
Yeah.
it was. You really had to look high to see the statue. But yes, there were a lot of monkeys. But it's very beautifully, the typical Hanuman color, right? The saffron.
Yeah.
So the whole thing painted saffron, and it's a very beautiful sight. For pictures, it's really good. But even from the ancientness of the temple, it was very interesting.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's a good mix of things that you've got to see as well on this day, right? Right from the Heritage Museum to visiting Annandale to the Hanuman Temple at the end. It's a nice mix to it. But how are the kids doing by now?
They were fine. I think the monkeys gave them a lot of energy. They were absolutely fine. And after this, we went back to the hotel, and they were, gung-ho about stepping back to the mall again.
Awesome. So you, was there one more day after this, Swati?
Yeah. There was another day, and I told you, the Sardarji said, I will, take you to something different. And I said, can we go to Chail? And he said, absolutely. So the reason why Chail happened is because, one, for my son, for the highest, cricket ground. And the second, I said, let's do something different. And, we still go to Chail. So the driver was at our, hotel. I mean, he was at the lift, and I think about 9:30 or so we started from the hotel. So we decided to drive on to Chail. Again, the journey was amazing. The views, anywhere you looked was, click worthy. Yeah. So I did love him sitting from within the car clicking pictures. That happened. Yes, the other thing that I would recommend for children, especially, is medicine, motion sickness in a car. Right. So I had carried medicine with me, so I didn't need that for Shimla in Shimla. But then I had forgotten to bring it along with me in this trip to Chail. Okay. And we had to stop by at a medical store to pick up a replacement. But because my daughter started feeling a little giddy, so then we had to give that stop for about 15-20 minutes, give her the medicine. And after that, she was fine. So we went to Chail, and we hit the Palace Hotel. Now, this was, if you recall, this was the same place where our colorful Maharaja of Patna, he built his summer capital. This is built in a 75-acre, play area. So it's huge. And palace is so beautifully kept. And even, I was checking out the cost of, the tariff for the night, in case we decide to come back again at some point and stay. It was not very expensive. I think 4.5 is what I recall. So that's very nice to know, because it is very affordable. It is not, something which will burn a hole in your pocket.
Absolutely. So
it was quite nice, and it's a very nice resort. It's got a huge lawn in front, which pretty much was my children's playground. So it's nice. This is the place where which is shown as the Chanchad Villa of the Three Idiots.
Yeah.
No.
So this is where it was shot. So it was a very beautiful place. So that's something I will recommend if somebody is planning to stay in Chail. This might be a very good option. So from here we went to Kalka Shimla. Now this was something new. I did not know of this, but this was suggested by our cab driver. Okay. Right? So he said, people do trek to this place as well, but we didn't have that kind of time. So we could drive all the way to Kalka Shimla, right? Okay. So we went there. And it is Kali Mata's, mandir there. And the view from that is absolutely white. The temple is white and red. It's painted mostly white, a little bit of red on the, on the sides. And beautiful view of the Shivalik range. Absolutely, mind-boggling view, and a lot of nice breeze and quiet. And this is one place where I think we were pretty much at most times the only family around.
Oh, wow.
So it was extremely nice. I think I will recommend this to anybody who is going to jail. It is such a place, you can just sit there just for the the quiet of the place, and you will absolutely enjoy it. So we stayed there for about an hour and a half, and then we went to the cricket ground, the world's highest cricket ground.
Yeah.
So now this ground again was, it was already there, I think, during the British times, but Maharaja of Patiala actually developed it much more. So today it is being used by the military school. So we did see children playing in there.
Okay.
So it is being used as a playground for military school, but during the vacation it is used for polo. They also have a basketball court in it. There is also football, there are football goal posts. So it's a multi-purpose court at this point. But of course, being the world's highest cricket ground, I had my son, in a tizzy.
Yeah. No points for guessing who was the most excited, right?
Yeah, he was super excited. So yeah, this was pretty much, our day in Shimla, the last day. Okay. So coming back, we came back to Shimla and said goodbye to our driver. He was, I think, we had a very good time with him. And then we just, went back to Gupta Ji for one last food before we headed out of Shimla.
Excellent. Swati, thank you so much for being an excellent guide and taking us around all the way from Chandigarh to Shimla in this beautiful heritage train, and then showing us sites of Shimla that might not be as touristy as some might think. So thanks a ton for that and making this whole journey literally a heritage walk for us.
I know.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Swati. And we would love to know, and even our listeners would love to know, how can they contact you?
You can reach me on my website. You can you can put in your comments there. You can connect with me on Twitter or even on Instagram. So yeah,
okay, wonderful.
You can
so we would be adding all these handles in the show notes section. So please go ahead and check out Swati's wonderful blog.
Recipe for travel.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Swati. Thanks a lot. We had a great, amazing trip with you.
Thanks for having me on the show.
The pleasure was all ours. Thanks so much, Swati. That was yet another great episode of the Musafir Stories. If you guys like the show, please subscribe to us on iTunes, Audioboom, Stitcher, Pocket Radio, or any other podcasting app that's available on iOS or Android. You could also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We go by the handle The Musafir Stories. Or if it suits you, you could email us at themusafirstories@gmail.com and visit our website www.themusafirstories.com for more information. All of these links will be made available in the show notes section of the podcast. So here's to more traveling, sharing, and inspiring. Stay tuned for our next episode. Until then, happy travels and goodbye.